Four, three, two. Now, sister, that wow.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Organized Clutter. My name is Audrey Danilick, and I am your host. We have been super having a lot of fun with the Zoom stuff lately because I've been conducting a lot of interviews this way. And number one, it's super convenient. You don't have to set up the mics, and then you get to put little cute backgrounds. But I'm just with everything where it's going, I'm super excited. And I know I say this in pretty much all of my episodes, but I feel like with me being so grateful and so excited with every experience and every episode that I have, it's just moving more and more towards the movement that I'm really trying to create and put out to the universe. So I am super excited because with this podcast, I've had the opportunity to literally meet people that I don't even know that I would have any type of relation with, or even have anything in common, but just trusting the fact that I've said it in the past, oh, you're breathing, me too. Just trusting that type of mindset has helped me bring in and attract so much positivity, and then even more of a reason to do so myself. So why I bring all that up is because this episode is very important to me, because I don't know if I'm just too much of a empath, or just I have a different brain than everybody else, but I feel like people always come into your life for a reason. People share things with you for a reason. And I don't know, this reason in particular with the bestie that I'm gonna have coming on, we met that way. So who do I have here with me?
Chloé Caroline.
I like how we both did this.
Yeah. I was like, well, I'll just be on trend with that too.
And who are you, bestie?
Yeah, girl. I am a singer-songwriter. I'm a Californian native. I'm half Canadian too. I'm an actor, I'm an influencer. I'm a friend. All of those things.
And your little tagline on your Instagram, what is it?
Yes, California created. Oh, and that girl that sings about the universe.
There you go. And that's why I brought that up in the beginning, because yeah, definitely. I feel like that's why I brought that up in the beginning, because like I've shared with you before, and we're going to get a little bit more into it. Her most recent show that I went to is that we are on the same movement. You and I are just in our own ways creatively, like you with singing, and then me just blabbing it up, and it's cool because just attracting more and more and more people that are on that team of doing this. We're a rare breed, I like to believe, and special. So hopefully we create the impact that we're trying to do. Does that make sense?
It totally does. I mean, you're definitely spreading similar positivity and light and energy, and I love that. And you're doing what you love, and I am too, and that's beautiful.
There's this quote that I say all the time is, find a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Because
yeah,
turning a hobby or just an interest into something that you're like, oh my God, this is effortless. It's awesome. It's really awesome. And I feel like what really inspired me about you, and the fact that you started your set and everything, your show, with having the crowd do affirmations. Number one, I've never done that at anything. And it was so cool because it was different. I've never had that. And just to see the person that's performing for us has that mindset, and then also is just literally trying to make everybody have a good time. So I love that. So let's do some.
Thank you. Yeah, that was something that I added in. I think it was for the first time, maybe a little bit over a year ago. And I'm a huge affirmation girl. I do it every single day. It changed my life. And I was like, why am I not doing this before my shows? It makes so much sense. Setting the energy, setting the intentions of the room for the rest of the night, and getting people to feel that bond between between you guys, and then also just with themselves, to feel inspired and safe. And
it's so motivating too, because you just set, like you said, a really good energy for people to bond with you and feel the words of your music. And I don't know, it's kind of like I said, well, we share that in common. You just make everybody feel seen and make everybody feel like we're all in this room together. We obviously all came for the same reason.
Right.
Have a good, safe environment. So that's what you definitely created at your last show that I was at. It was awesome.
Well, and it's just people that have never done that before, right? They're you just
I haven't, literally.
yeah. Exactly. Well, and it makes them feel like, okay, now I'm doing it with everybody else too. I've never done that, or maybe they don't even believe in it really, but then
No, yeah, at least your last one, everybody was like, what? Like at first confused, but it was so fun. And I felt even comfortable saying that. Like, I know I'm an open book too, but it was cute for everybody to just be like, that's awesome.
yeah. Good. I'm
But
glad.
what made you like implement that and be like, no, I got to do this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just that it is something that I do already, like myself, and I try to present that person on, as I try to present my authentic self as much as possible. And so obviously, whether it's through my songs, I might as well do it on stage. And of course, we all have like a sort of like stage persona for sure, but for me, like that really is like who I am.
As
It's
a
like
person.
yeah, and I always say that like the best version of myself, honestly, is the person that is on stage because like I feel like I'm like radiating when I am up there. Like I feel like this like energy and I'm absolutely like the most joyful and
I
I
literally have a tattoo that says be the best version of yourself. And
yeah,
if I,
I'm like buzzing
yeah,
up there. So
my
it's like
little stance.
yeah, so that like I could be having like the crappiest day, but like I go up on that stage and I have the opportunity to like share these songs and stories and whatever. And so like that's the perfect way for me to set the intention, not only for the audience, but for myself as well. And kind of just like wipe the slate clean, I think.
What is it like essentially like do for you as far as like how does it heal you, I guess? What parts of you do you struggle with? Because I kind of want to get it more on the not the
Yeah.
mental health aspect, but you have helped a lot of people's energy and just mindset. At least for me, that's what I kind of grabbed from your music, that you're relatable. You know what I mean? You are kind of demonstrating, like with your most recent music video, like it's hard to like really factory reset your life. So I like that you have that positive mindset. But how did you get that? What did it do for you where you healed and then started to implement it? Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Or am I
Like
crazy?
kind of like where did it come? Like how like
Where
go
did it
back
come
to the
from?
beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, a couple of different places I would say. I've always been a pretty optimistic sort of person, but I got really sick as a kid. And I was like 11 years
Happened.
old
If
and
you
it
don't
was
mind me asking, what happened?
yeah. So they didn't know for a long time what was going on, but I just remember I started to go to the nurse's office like very regularly in sixth grade. It was like about halfway through sixth grade, and with like stomach aches. And eventually, I would get like mouth sores too, and it was just all this weird stuff, but they couldn't figure out what was going on. But within a month, I lost like 30 pounds at 11.
I
So
your parents were probably like scared as fuck, huh?
oh yeah, like basically like I went to the hospital and they're like, if you didn't take her in, like she would have
Yeah.
died. And before that, of course, they're trying to figure out what's going on, but like
You were
no
how
one
old?
pardon?
You were how old?
Yeah, I was 11.
11. I'm
11.
sorry.
Yeah, and so eventually we found out that I had, well, one, a parasite, two, a virus, like a virus that was attacking my immune system, and I had a stomach, not an ulcer, what's it called? A stomach, I'm blanking on the name right now, but yeah, basically a stomach ulcer. All of those things were related to each other in their own way. And then once, parasites are easy to get rid of, but the virus and stuff, like that was a whole other experience. Not a lot of doctors knew about it. Like I had to go to like a specialist to even get discovered. But yeah, it was crazy. I mean, the doctors thought I had an eating disorder. I was pulled out of school, like super isolated. My friends weren't allowed to play with me. Like it was really because their parents thought I was like yeah, an anorexic basically.
And
Um,
probably just even the stress of having to defend that, like probably even just made it
yeah.
fucking worse.
Yeah. And so it was just like an incredibly, obviously scary time. But within that, I remember just finding so much like gratitude when I finally got to like go outside and was able to walk again, really. And when I was able to go to school again, like I remember the first time like being able to like see
Walk?
my friends. Well, I
Or
was
meaning up and moving, I think, right?
yeah, like I had no energy. I had a feeding tube, like yeah. So it was one of those things where finally, like getting to do normal things that I took for granted as a kid were something that I really valued, you know, and you realize like, okay, it's not about toys, you know, at that age, it's not about dolls and toys and whatever, these like trivial things. Like I actually missed getting to go to class, literally getting to go to class and do my homework. Like,
And
you know what I mean?
interacting.
Yeah, exactly. Like all those things where as a kid, you're like, man, I can't wait for a sick day to not get to go to school. You know, like I so wanted to be around people and to find that connection. And so that's when I'd been writing songs since I was like 6, didn't really know what I was doing, but I loved music. But I really turned to music during this time because I wanted to feel understood. I wanted an outlet for how I was feeling. And, you know, that was kind of the only way to do that, I
What type
guess.
of music were you like listening to that helped you? Like what genre was like, I turned to this? Like for me, I
Yeah.
went to alternative rock. So like Linkin Park and Incubus and all that, Green Day. What kind of genre was you? Like what
Yeah,
helped?
I mean, I've always grown up listening to everything, so it's kind of hard to say, but like it was everything from, yeah, Colby Calais to Hannah Montana to Taylor Swift to,
Hannah.
you know, She Is We, or I think it was a He Is We, that band, whatever. It's kind of like it was like an alt, like pop band. Like I remember they were one of my favorites too, Gavin DeGraw, like all these artists. But honestly, yeah, like I was thinking about it the other day, I was like, man, actually Hannah Montana was like kind of a big influence on me.
Dude,
Like,
same. They're doing like a little tour right now and I want to go so bad.
dude, I'm obsessed. I love Miley, but yeah, I mean, it was just like, I mean, yeah, so many different artists, honestly, John Mayer, like whatever. And so I'd always written like poetry and stuff too, and like stories, like short stories and stuff like that. And so I really just like was like, oh man, like I can turn these into lyrics too, you know? And like I'd already been like making up melodies for years and taught myself guitar. I was playing a little bit of piano, but I decided I was going to teach myself guitar on YouTube. And I would spend hours too searching for other people that wrote songs. Like I would literally type in like me singing original song so I could find somebody else who did what I did, and also so I could be like inspired by their original music. And I just loved discovering new music. And so that was kind of a passion of mine. At the same time, I finally had started going to school again. And in 7th grade, went to a new school, which was interesting because I was not Catholic, but I went to a Catholic private school and I'd gone to like public school my whole life. And
Was
I
your
went
family
there.
like super religious or what was it?
No, it was that they basically like there was like the pastor at our church, I think, knew some of the people over at this Catholic school. And then also I had one friend that went there, but my parents just wanted me to have nothing to do with my middle school basically after I had left, mainly just because I looked so different. So they were afraid if I went back that I would get bullied basically.
And
Well,
a lot of overwhelming attention too, you know?
yeah. Yeah. And so then I went to this new school, and that's actually where I got bullied for like really the first time ever in my life. And so just like mean girls and,
But
uh,
what? What were they freaking attacking?
you know, just kids. I mean, I remember specifically there was one girl that they kind of thought wasn't cool and they would pick on her, and I befriended her because I was like in like the popular group,
You'd
I
say,
guess.
rep
Uh,
that shit.
like my friend was in the popular group that I knew there, the only other person I knew there. But this girl they pick on, and so I've always like been the type to like befriend the new kid or like whatever, you know. And so I befriended this girl, and then that was like part of it for sure. That like caused some divide, and then just like other kids that I met too, like not being from that school, being the new kid, not being Catholic. I mean, they made it strikingly obvious. Like we'd go to mass and like I'd have to like go like this because
You're
I
like, oh my God.
didn't take communion, like stuff like that. So just immediately like polarizing. And then yeah, just mean girl stuff, jealous girl stuff. I don't even know.
Crazy. And
Um,
being at a religious school, you would figure that you would be more like aware to not do that, you know? Like
yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
that's crazy. It's
And it's
crazy.
such a small school too. Like I always went to like fairly, I mean, public schools, and they were pretty big. And this was like kids that had known each other since they were in preschool. And like I was just this girl coming in. So I don't know. But with that, like I had a really great teacher that really taught us how to write creatively in a way. He would basically have us come in every day and write down like all of our thoughts, like whatever we were thinking, like stream of consciousness. It didn't have to have like, it didn't have to be like grammatically correct or anything
Which
like that.
teacher is that? Let's give them a shout out really quick.
Yeah, his name was Mr. Stoopy.
Where you at, Mr. Stoopy? Let us know.
Yeah. You know, I honestly think the Catholic school let him go, which makes sense, you know, because it was whatever, they clearly have issues. But
Differences.
yeah, different. Yeah, but they
We'll call
didn't
it
like how he
differences.
was teaching. But it's so funny because like I loved it. Like I got so much out of it. His students loved it. Like so for me, it taught me how to just free write, really, honestly. Like I'd already been creative writing, but it was like, oh my God, I'm gonna turn this into my journal entries, basically. And I would just like write whatever was going on, how I was feeling. And I think that contributed to me eventually, obviously, writing lyrics and feeling safe, being able to express myself, and yeah, again, in turn, heal.
Dude, but shout out to those teachers, literally teachers that make children feel seen. I was kind of talking about that with my BFF Oscar, DJ Oscar, in episode 17, is because we met through high school and we were kind of talking about our experiences, the differences. It's a really good episode and actually something that I always reference to as far as being a good person, because with those teachers, obviously they're the biggest influences in our life. We're going to school 8 hours a day, and we, at least I would hope, to rely on these people to give positive influence. And it's those teachers that just make you feel seen and confident. Even when you're not at school, you take it home with you, that you want to learn, you want to grow. So I feel like that's awesome, because then that, in my opinion, I feel helped you write freely the way you wanted to.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that's definitely, I know for a fact was a contributing factor in just like, yeah, building my confidence, and also just being able to like sit there and like analyze how I was feeling and like let it out, I think was like really cool and necessary at that time. And so yeah, I'm really grateful for that. But I ended up going back to my public middle school the next year, and it was better. It was a lot better. Joined the cheerleading team, which also helped me learn how to like be in front of
Cheerleader.
people. Yeah. And yeah, it kind of helped me build up that confidence again, which obviously led me to where I'm at now.
Dude, literally, but I like to like kind of, I guess, rep that, but we're like real life cheerleaders. Like we
Yeah.
literally try to cheer
Yeah.
everybody up, and it's so effortless. But kind of circling back to like how your influence with writing music and just expressing and exploring yourself with like the positive people, whether it was an adult or anybody else, it's cool. Because I guess what I want to ask is, what kind of lyrics were you writing at such a tender age? Like, I guess to kind of further explain is, give, I don't know, Linkin Park, for example, a lot of their songs are about like mental health, what they're going through, what they're fighting through. What was your like type of lyrics at the time that you were?
Yeah, I think, I mean, it was a combination of obviously like more, yeah, I mean, there was the young side of things, like pretending I'd experienced love in relationships and
Oh,
that sort of
cute.
thing. You obviously have that, but honestly, they were pretty poetic. I look back and
If
it
I
was
was a singer, which I dreamed of, but I honestly, and I know I can't sing, but I would be like super emo music, I swear to God.
oh, it's pretty emo. Yeah, there were some songs where I was like, okay, like I do remember there's one that I wrote, and it was like the first one, and
Sing
it was
it.
called, like Only Time. I have no idea what the melody is, but I remember it was like, only time, and it was about me being sick, and it's sad as hell. And it's like basically only time will tell how long it'll be, like when I'll be set free, blah blah blah. If I
I'm gonna cry. Bring it to
yeah,
life, girl. That's your story.
yeah, no, it was I definitely used it as my method of like expressing. So
Well, but I'm meaning real life, put it like out there, like this, that's your story, that's your life. Whatever the lyrics was, even if they didn't make sense, you should do it.
yeah, and it's always interesting, like looking back at old songs, like even if I'd never necessarily like been through something yet that I was writing about, like I've always been kind of an old soul, and I'm like, this came from somewhere, like like this definitely came from somewhere. I don't know where it came from or how I knew that or where that metaphor came from, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Do you have like a musician like background? Like, is there anybody else that's kind of in the same like what you're trying to do and feel?
Yeah, yeah. Like, so my grandfather, he was well, my great grandfather, he could sing. My great grandfather or sorry, my great grandfather could sing. My grandfather was a singer and had his own radio show in college, and he ended up pursuing becoming a doctor. But then my dad, he was also in bands, singer songwriter as well.
Shout out dad.
And yeah. So I definitely was influenced by that, and it absolutely runs my family. And my dad would always run around the house and make up songs, and yeah.
You guys ever make any together?
Yeah, we've written together. When I was younger, he would sometimes play shows with me, which was cute. And yeah.
You guys have been collabing since you were little.
Yeah, exactly. And
How many siblings do you have, or are you an only child?
No, so I have a younger sister, so she's 2 years younger than me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did she sing too, or what did she do?
She can sing. I would say pretty much everybody in my family, my cousins included, can sing. Like nobody's tone deaf. But she was in choir in high school and stuff. But she doesn't like want to pursue it or anything. Like,
it's cute though, because like what you just said, like obviously like everybody can sing and stuff. My daughter, episode 6, my daughter Brooke, I had asked her because she says that she wants to be a podcaster, and I was like, what would you name it? And she goes, Great Talents of Family. I was like, thank you for that. Yeah, like very subtly say mom has talent. I was like, nice.
That is so cute. I love that.
You guys all at least relate to it, like what you guys are trying to do, and then give each other tips, I'm assuming, and that's cool.
Yeah, it definitely helped. I mean, yeah, I'm very lucky to have a family, my parents specifically, that are very supportive of my career, and a dad that's been through the industry and can kind of navigate it, because most parents would never understand that.
100%. You're very fortunate. Like it's awesome to surround yourself with people who get it, no matter what the circumstances. So I can imagine like the type of influence that your parents were, because they know what it's like to have to like wait for that opportunity to spark. They know what it's like to be frustrated with the way you guys are playing music and whatever the process is. Like I won't disrespect what your guys' actual work is, but he gets it. Your mom gets it. Everybody gets it, and that's why they're very supportive of the like hunger that you have for making your dream happen.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And then, I mean, they've got my sister who's like a labor and delivery nurse, so it's fine, they've got this.
Well, that's still badass too.
It is badass, but they've got the kid that's like, okay, we've got, nice stability here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's still awesome. I'm sure they're just like very proud of you guys.
Yeah, they are for sure.
That's cool. Like I'm glad that it's good to hear that you have a positive story and upbringing that's contributing to like I said, your come up stories. So
yeah, I wouldn't take any of it back, even if I could. It's part of it gives me, I feel like, a sense of being able to understand other people a little bit too, especially when they get to know me, because it's like, oh, whatever, white girl, blonde hair, she must have had easy. And there's so many parts of my life that I've had really easy compared to a lot of people. I'm super, super blessed.
and I say that all the time.
Yeah, I've also had my own challenges too. And so being able to like, okay, I've experienced this and this and this as well, kind of, I think it was absolutely for a purpose, because otherwise I wouldn't understand. How would I possibly understand?
Yeah, no, seriously, you start to ask yourself, like, how did I deserve this? But then you also believe in yourself to know, like, but because I am a good person, that's why. And you already have that answer, and that's what makes you want to keep doing it. Like, would you agree?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, again, you don't have any perspective if you don't experience the bad either, which is why, like, even though my music tends to have like a tinge of hope or whatever and optimism, even in the sad songs, I would say I never want it to feel forced or like everything's sunshine and rainbows. It's very much like riding that line of like, no, this is reality and life can be hard, but like also it doesn't have to affect us in how we see our potential like future, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to, yeah, like we have a choice still in how we're going to react to
No,
it.
definitely. Because I always say this, like, this is my mindset. And I feel like once people master, at least in their own way, this type of like mindset is, I kind of see the things that I've gone through and the dreams that I'm still chasing as like a time capsule. Like, for example, I'm gonna look back at these episodes with the people that I've met, the people that I've talked to, and I do it even now. Like sometimes I'll look back at certain episodes and I notice like my voice was lower than usual, or I wasn't giving my all. And I can now tell that story like, dang, during that time I was there, and look at now I'm here, and not being cocky or anything. You get motivated by the improvement. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Even like with your songs, like better and more, and you're like, okay, this is what the people like. This is what people
Yeah,
are relating to.
yeah, absolutely. And just, I mean, I've written songs that came out of really bad situations, or disappointing situations, whatever, that because I wrote them, like led me to other really amazing experiences and opportunities that have brought me to where I am now. And so had those things not happen, I obviously wouldn't have those things right now. Or I
Yeah.
have, yeah.
No, definitely, because things happen when they do, and I say that all the time. But I remember when I was having like finally my interview with Tino Caccino from 991 KGGI. He has this podcast called "Is Anyone Listening?" Like he has it tattooed right here and everything because his movement of what he's trying to do is really really big, and it's to inspire others. Like no matter where you're going through, what you're doing at the time, like that was you. At least that's what I've got from it. It's just like it's okay to be you, and for those that are brave, and I use that word brave very like in a very strong compliment, that are able to like share their life, share what they were going through, and not feel like, because you said right now you're like there was some sad lyrics, but I'm still positive
Yeah,
and keep going. So I don't know. That's how I get to that time capsule of memory lane. I was like, dang, and then sharing that it's gonna get better. Like I
yeah,
don't being relatable. But yeah, that's his podcast. If you guys are ever interested in listening to it, oh my gosh, especially if you're going through like mental health struggles, like he kind of covers it all. So I definitely
mhm.
recommend. Yeah, call any is anyone listening is what it's called.
Doing listening. I love that.
Yeah.
That's
But I don't know. It's cool like the craft that we bring to the table, like because obviously everybody is very engaged in like TikTok, Instagram. It's convenient considering like how busy we are, but it's cool the type of craft and the different like genres of things, creations of things that we're all doing differently, at least the ones that are doing this movement, and it still collabs together. Like you're writing the songs, I'm over here talking about it. And I don't
right.
know, we all have our little job in this little universe that we're living in. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
And we all, it all connects, and it all like we all like elevate each other kind of and climb this ladder together. Yeah, no, but I think it's really cool to see how we all come together, and it all makes sense. I mean, like we all need each other. We really do.
Mhm. Now, where did you come with the like tagline, the girl that sings to the universe? Where did you come up
Uh,
with?
yeah, so I came up with that, like, I guess somewhat within the last couple of years. I had like a massive spiritual awakening, right when I had like moved to LA from Nashville.
What
And
happened during
um,
the
what happened?
yeah, like what
Um,
that you went through?
yeah, so I had moved, so I'm from Los Angeles, but I had gone to college and started my career in Nashville. And I basically, yeah, I had a producer that like kind of tried to tell me I wasn't like ready for the next stage of my career, and that pissed me off.
Asshole.
And I like yeah, I wrote my song Ready about that, kind of like no one can tell me I'm not ready. It's up to me. But I also realized I was like looking around me at my career, and a bunch of really amazing things were happening. But at the same time, I felt very worn out. I was like burning myself to the ground, trying to do everything, be everywhere, person in my personal life, and in my relationship at the time, and in my career. And I just felt very limited in Nashville at that time. And I was craving more and just too scared to leave and or make a change because I was afraid everything else was going to fall away. And I finally was like, screw it, I need to go to LA. My boyfriend at the time moved to LA. And then a few months into that, I ended up leaving that relationship. And it was very like that sort of relationship. And he had his own mental health issues. But after that, I was alone, and COVID happened too. And I mean, I briefly dated somebody over COVID that really kind of changed my perspective too on kind of like what I did deserve and everything too.
Yeah.
But also broke my heart again simultaneously. And
You lived
anyways,
so much freaking life during the quarantine. You're like, oh my God. Lifetime.
but I had this time to myself and all of a sudden like just couldn't deal with like settling for less than I felt like I could have really in every way, you know, whether it was love or my music, my career, etc. And yeah, so I basically spent like, you know, a solid amount of time just kind of going within and turning to spirituality, partially because I was trying to look at everybody around me, especially after a breakup, and being like, well, why am I attracting these people, the good and the not so good, right? Like, what does this mean? How does it's a reflection of me. What is, you know what I mean? And just trying to figure out my own personality types, other people's personality types. And so that kind of sent me down to that rabbit hole. And then was just kind of one day, I remember being like, I wonder what would happen if this stuff about manifestation or whatever was true. Like, again, I've always been very much an optimist, but like in a goal setter and
Yeah.
whatnot. There's never really been like a plan B for me. I've always been like something, it's going to work out, you know? But at the same time, I'd never been like, said it out loud like that. I'd never been like, you know, I am whatever, I'm exactly what I'm supposed to be. I'm already successful. I'm like all of these things, all these different affirmations and manifestations. And so I just decided one day, I was like, I'm going to sound like a crazy person, but I'm just going to start saying them out loud, like regularly. And I'm going to write them down like every day. And it just kind of became my thing. And I started seeing like these crazy things like happen in my life, like that aren't just coincidences, you know?
Right.
There's
No,
no way,
dude,
like,
it's
no way.
no, it's literally crazy. And I feel like I you have no idea. I'm like a crazy, but I feel like you're the same in a sense. You're very like empathetic and you use your own personal life to obviously be the way that you are and things like that as like an example.
Right.
I'm so grateful because you're literally on the same tangent that I am right now, is that like trying to figure out like, okay, is this a coincidence? Am I Delulu or is this actually working because I'm putting it out there? And I used to be like, oh, I don't know. I don't even want to care about manifesting and things like that. And now like I'm just like I say it during my episode 16, I believe, with Ryan Mano from Coast 1035. I say it like people ask me all the time, like how I'm getting the interviews that I do. And I'm like, I don't know. Like I'm just trusting the process and I put it out there that I want to be on the radio and things like that. And I'm like, manifestation gonna works, like not in a weird, crazy, like creepy
No,
way.
it totally does.
It's working. And I hope that like with the movement that I've already started, that people are they trust me at this point, like, dude, it totally works. And then there's just more people that are like giving
Yeah.
kind of like that pay it forward vibe, like just be a good person and you're influencing one
Yeah.
more. Like healing the little world. We need it.
Yeah, well, and I think people just don't want to feel like an idiot, and they get attached to like a timeline of like what it's supposed to look, or like exactly what it is supposed to look like, and they don't want to be disappointed. You know, it's not the weird thing. And I just finally got to a point where I was like, screw it. I was like, hey, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work because it's our, you know. But what if it does? You know,
No,
like
Ryan says that. He goes, go talk to someone. What if it doesn't work? But what if it does? What if they
yeah.
do?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, there's really nothing to lose at that point. And so I just kind of started living like that and then started pouring like everything into myself, how I would want somebody to, or how I would treat somebody in a relationship and how I'd want them to treat me. That was like a big thing, like kind of becoming the one for myself, because I had to be. How would I possibly align with like my person if I was not on that wavelength? It doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like literally vibrationally, how could they possibly recognize me?
Look at
And
what's happening right now. Like literally, we reference and it's crazy that it happens like without even us knowing. And I'm so self-aware of like what literally happened right now. I had no anticipation of talking about Hannah Montana. Did you? Do you,
no,
do you remember the episode, if you're a true fan, where it's
yeah,
Aunt Dolly episode where she was like feeling down about herself and she goes, remember when you were a little girl and you said it's 1 in a million to become a singer? And she was like, I want to be that one. And here you are doing it.
yeah,
You
yeah,
little Hannah Montana.
yes. No, you just have, and that's the thing, you have to like just embody it, like it's already happened. And when I started doing that, yeah, like I said, like crazy things would happen. And like I would see crazy angel numbers all over the place too. And
Me too. That's what's happening like right now. Honestly,
oh,
recently.
yeah, it's wild, and like you feel like you're insane, but like I really did. There was times where I was like, I'm losing my mind. But
Angel that's coming to you. Who's speaking to you right now?
oh my gosh, well, like in this current moment.
If that's the case, but in general, like when you
Yeah.
start to notice those things, then you're like, okay, Angel's here. Who is it?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just, I don't know if it's always specifically one person. I think it's like in general, like, well, yeah, God, the universe, it just depends on the day, you know? Like, I remember specifically, there was like a crazy story with like, and I bring this up a lot, and it was right before I met my boyfriend, but which was a crazy story in itself. But right around that time, I had been out like on a drive with my friend Damon, and we had just been like writing a song. We're in the car and we're like bopping like a bunch of my influences, and one of them was Gavin DeGraw. And so we were just singing, you know, windows down, like beautiful day. Like I remember feeling like just really happy and like elated, and like, you know, kind of like I remember being like, you know what, like I would just love to like open up for Gavin DeGraw one day. I'd love to write a song with Gavin DeGraw.
Cloud nine, like
So awesome. And just you know, feel, you know, when you just like feel really really great. And I knew, you know, Damon had known Gavin before. He'd been like his like tour manager, and at one point, but they hadn't spoken in a while. And anyways, so that happens. I get home, I look in my Instagram DMs, and I have a random notification or message DM from Gavin DeGraw. And all it says,
what?
yes, all it says is like, hey, hope you're doing well. Okay. So I'm like, I immediately obviously text Damon, and I'm like, hey, did you say something to Gavin? Like, what?
Yeah.
You know, thanks. And he goes, what are you talking about? And I'm like, here. And I sent him a screenshot. He goes, Chloe, I have not spoken to him again in months. Yeah, not at all. Like, I have no idea where
How
that
did you come to mind for him to reach out?
I literally have no, to this day, I have no idea. I responded and I was like, thank you. Like, love your music.
Is this real life right now?
Like, it was so bizarre. And, you know, I had covered a song of his like a year before this. And I remember he had like commented on it, but like he wasn't following me. It wasn't even like that situation. It was just random, but like not random. And for me, like, I still don't understand it. I hope to God to meet him one day to figure it out. But like, I really just think it was the sign I needed, that everything that I'm saying and I am putting out there is being heard, and to like be very mindful of that. And again, to remember that I'm always exactly where I'm supposed to be. And literally, it was like, that was 2 days after I had met my boyfriend in a really cosmic way. So
I hope
it,
one day he hears this so that I don't even know if he, or you don't even know if he knows how much just that one fucking DM just sparked somebody's life to be like, oh my God, you
it
know?
just, I mean, it put it into perspective, just because it was so like, I can't make that up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we literally had that conversation. You're telling me out of the blue, like for no apparent reason, I get this message, like,
Right.
and it was just it was too odd. And anyway, so yeah, I would have stuff like that happen to me. That was like one of the crazier ones for sure. But
It's working.
yeah, so it just kind of like sent me down that path. And obviously like kind of integrated that into my lyrics sometimes in a lot of my songs, especially within my last EP and this one. And just even subtly, I mean, kind of slipping it in there.
That's what I tell everybody all the time during like my podcast. Like I keep it so real, and I subtly bring in me while kind of just collaborating and building a bond. That's why all the episodes are BFF, because it's crazy. Like I always influence. Like you have no idea like how you're going to influence somebody that day. You're going to either be in a bad story or a good story. So I like to do like random stuff because I want somebody to take home a story. Like, dude, there was this random girl that was doing X, Y, and Z, or like you with your music. Like, no, it's like I'm saying, you have no idea what you're doing for someone. So if you are on, I say it all the time too, like if I'm given the opportunity to be on the mic, it better be something positive, because you're going to influence somebody in a positive way or a negative way. And I'm team positive. Like I can't be responsible for someone's sad story. I don't want to be, you know?
No, and I think that like, yeah, there's enough that stuff going on, and I think we all need like a little bit of hope, and we all want to feel understood, and you know, like I don't know, I just like, yeah, like you said, it's like if you have an opportunity to have a platform, it doesn't mean you can't like share sad truths or anything, but like what good does that do, like spinning in circles, like
Just the
oh,
same.
with me, like, you know what I mean? It's more like, well, how can we take this and spin it on its head, you know? I mean, and ultimately too, like everything that's bad just needs a little bit of love. That's all it's looking for, you
And
know?
light. Yeah.
People,
I'm the kind of person that gives like nicknames for like anything just to remember. I'll be like, oh, like I saw Blue Hat yesterday, like whatever the case may be to describe someone. I do that with emojis. So your emoji is that little sparkle emoji, 100%.
oh, is
Every time
it?
I see that, I was like, that's so yours. And then
I
I was
love
talking about that with JB. One of my episodes, it was episode 20. Sorry, JB, that I forgot for a second. His is the little shaka. He goes like the little thing. Everyone says now that I'm a donut, but yours is definitely the little sparkle.
oh,
So
thanks.
cute.
I'm honored by that. Also, it's very impressive you remember all your episode like numbers. I have my own podcast and there's no way.
Good. No, I just love everybody so much. And like, I like, look at us, how many times we've rescheduled, like, cause life happens. So I am so grateful for anybody that like takes the time to talk to me and support my craft, because like, look at how it's like what you said, you were so grateful that people came out to see you and you wanted to share the same thing that these people came, like, I want to hear what she has to say, hear what
Yeah.
she's doing. So I don't know, that's what we're doing. That's definitely
Yeah.
what we're doing.
It is what we're doing, and it's like what I always say to you, it's like whether like two people hear it or like 2,000 people hear it, it doesn't really matter because either way, like we're hearing it and it's positive and it feels
Even better, you're bringing it to life. You're hearing it,
yeah,
and that's enough for you, which is
right,
cool.
yeah.
What is your song that you know is like this rep? I know all of them do, obviously, because that's your craft. But what song is like, what would be like the one that you would play like, this is my music, this is me, and why?
So hard.
So hard, I know, because they're all so amazing, beating up. I have your new song, and we'll talk about that more.
Yeah, yeah,
Your new
yeah.
song is stuck in my head, but I'm so
Oh yes, I've
cute.
done it.
I love it.
I love that so much. It's like the best compliment.
It's so fun. I
But
love it.
I would say one of my favorite songs I've ever written is Saving Space. I love that song because even though the meaning has like morphed since even the day that I wrote it,
What's
it's
the meaning, if you
definitely
don't mind me sharing? Well, you're an open book.
yeah, yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I had originally I written it. I had written it.
You're like, okay.
I, I speak English. Anyways, I'd written it when I was kind of in the process of trying to like let go of this person that I had basically decided it was like him or better. And we hadn't actually dated yet. It was kind of like one of those situationship situations, I guess.
No,
and
seriously.
yeah, and so I remember I knew that I was at this point where I really just needed to trust that it was going to fall into place it was supposed to be, and I needed to, it was not like serving me very well, like kind of like mentally, I guess, thinking about it.
We
But
live in life, literally. I literally, that's crazy.
yeah, and so I was like, well, I need to move forward here, but I also need to, I don't want to give up hope. I think that was my thing. It's like I didn't want to ever like settle again, and so that's why I was kind of like, oh, this person or better. That's kind of what I had in my mind, but I wasn't at the time really ready for the idea of what better would even look like.
Because
You know
you
what I mean?
invested who
I
you were at the in this relationship. You're
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I want
even
all the
yeah,
work.
right, yeah, exactly. And so anyways, and so finally I was like, okay, well, I don't want to like, I'm not going to wait around for this guy to come around. I know that, like, I'm not going to do that. That's not going to be good. But at the same time, like, I don't want to give up hope. And I remember seeing a quote about like, you know, there's a difference between waiting and saving space, and one of them is tied to control and stagnancy, and the other one allows you to move forward with faith that like, you know, whatever is meant to be, and what you want will come true in just whatever form and timing it's supposed to. And so I was like, I like that because like I can, and I think I can trust myself now that I'm going to recognize what that is when I see it. And right now I just need to, if it's already done, like if it's meant to be, then there's nothing I have to worry about. Literally, like it's done. Like what a relief that is, that like I'm sitting over here stressing if this guy is gonna come around and blah, blah, blah. Well, if it's already done, then what am I doing? I'm literally just spinning my wheels. You know what I mean? Whatever. Like I'm just gonna go live my life and I'm gonna treat myself how I would be anyways if I had that. And so that
It's like your song, a little spoiler, but it's like your song, which we're gonna get into, that maybe if we were older, like it would
yeah,
never, literally.
right. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. And so I kind of, anyway, so that was kind of the original intention, but also like, you know, the lyrics, like, it's not too late because here's the truth. Like, I won't wait, but I'll leave room. I'm still saving space for you. And more from the standpoint, too, of like, you know, I know it's going to happen with you. And I still was very much focused on this person and like whatever, that it was going to come around. But eventually, I would find out because I would end up meeting my boyfriend now because the first time I ever played that show live. That song at my show.
Or the show that I went to?
So no, this was like, I did play that song, like, but
No, I did, yeah.
yeah. So the first show that I ever played Saving Space at was my first show after COVID. And that show, I basically found out that like kind of that really what I thought was going to happen probably really wasn't going to happen. But I was just like, well, again, still kind of in the trust process, but long story short, I found out that like realistically it probably wouldn't, like logistically even. And so I was like,
kind of there. Where was the location?
That Hotel Cafe. And so I was kind of, bummed out that night, and I went there and I played, and here in LA, and I didn't even know it at the time, but my boyfriend was in the audience. And had I not gone through all of that experience, that trusting process, learning to let go, realizing I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, and playing and being at that show, I obviously would not have, he would have been, you know what I mean? It wouldn't have happened like that. And so I don't know, maybe it would have happened in a different way, but
did you at least feel like a badass? Like, yeah, I'm singing to you, homie.
Right. In a way, yeah. There was like so much emotion, behind it. Absolutely. And like little did I know this other guy was literally there and exactly what I wanted and more than what I thought I wanted. And so for me, that's how that song has morphed. And really it was like saving space for the right person for me. And trusting and being open to what that was. And that was its own process too of like, grieving what I thought was meant to be and realizing, even though I knew, I already could tell this is going to be like even better and it felt even more right. And, but I still had to let myself kind of have that moment of like, all right, that still had its purpose, and this purpose was to bring you to here. And I don't know what's going to happen, but like, let's see.
You wanted something and you let yourself have it, literally.
Yeah. But I remember no one really talks about like once you get it though, you really do start second guessing yourself. You're like, there's no way.
Like how?
This is a trick. I really thought, I was like, this is a trick. There's no way.
Or what's the catch?
So what's the catch? And I thought that for a while until finally, again, similar to our discussion earlier, I had this moment where I was like, you know what? This could absolutely go south, like, the other relationships that I've had. But what if it doesn't? Or he could break my heart, but what if he doesn't? And kind of running with okay, well, so what? Even if he does, I've been alone now. I'm comfortable. I was actually doing
what it feels like.
Well, alone. You know what I mean? Like I was like, so it's fine. Like if it doesn't work, of course I'm going to be sad. Of course I'm going to be heartbroken. But I'm so confident in myself now that like it's not going to define me. And I'll be okay. I think mainly knowing like I'll be okay.
Isn't it so cool to have that confidence? Because not a lot of people fortunately get that, even going through the most like traumatic or lifestyle change. Like I think it's such a blessing that we get to be like, no matter what, I'm gonna be okay. And you have to think that way. I genuinely believe like that's a must.
Yeah, it absolutely is a must. And it took me a while to get there. And it doesn't mean that like
I'm still trying to get there, honestly.
it takes a while, and it doesn't mean though that there's something wrong with you if you're alone and happy alone, but want to have a partnership with somebody. Because that's human nature. We're supposed to connect. Like that's a really beautiful.
You're not giving up hope of love. Like it's still there. It just one.
Exactly. It's just being like open to like the form it comes in, and yeah, and so that's kind of how that song developed in my life, and it still is like one of my favorite songs that I've.
I love to hear that because it's like with any movie or show, like there's obviously like a theme track. So I feel like that would be your intro.
Yeah.
What a good way to like literally be your intro, whether it's a TV show or just getting your name out there. But
Yeah.
speaking of that, what is new and where did this story take you? What's happening now?
Yeah, so I just released my single and music video when we were older, and it is the fourth single off of my upcoming EP coming out in
For
July.
whoever didn't catch that reference, that's the lyric that I cited to BTW.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I released the Awakening Volume 1 last year, and then this has been a waterfall release that I've been doing, so a single basically every month or so, for since when was it? Since last year, honestly. Again, I'd released like 9 singles last year. It was crazy.
Is that your album cover behind you, by the way? I didn't even ask that.
So this is my when we were older single cover. Yes.
Super cute. You look pretty.
Oh, thank you, thank
And
you.
highlight on point.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
For those of you guys that are obviously listening by audio, check out her Instagram. What's your handle? That way they can see all the
Yeah,
cute
it's
that
just
we're
that
referencing.
Chloé Caroline.
Okay, yay. But yeah, no, I love it.
Yeah, it's funny. My dad is like, I don't get it. Like, why is your face shiny? Like, you look sweaty. I'm like, that's the point. It's supposed
Yes,
to.
it's good. The dads are so cute sometimes. Literally. Why are you so shiny? You're like, that's
Yeah.
actually a compliment. Thank you. That's what I was trying to
Yeah.
say.
I was like, Dad, it's not oil. I promise. It's intentionally supposed to be there. But anyway, so yeah, when we were older, it was written. I always say this, like volume 2 of my EP is very much more the prequel, like the earlier stages of this awakening, rather than my last EP. And so this one I had written like very fresh out of my 5-year relationship. So I was just kind of at this point where I was trying to, find the purpose in it, and try to. And now I had been doing like having these like revelations, and kind of like being able to analyze myself, and being able to analyze the relationship now that I had stepped away from it. And so with that being said, I remember kind of thinking like, I wonder, it's, kind of, I wonder if he's had any of these same lessons learned. Did he learn something from this? God, I hope so. Because you know what I mean? Like that sort of thing. And like, okay, well, if he has, like, I wonder who he is now,
I feel
and
like that's also like a kind of validation to yourself too. Like, was I worth it for them to be like, fuck,
honestly,
like a
yeah, like,
lesson, or like, I don't know, because I feel like everybody should learn from an
yeah,
experience, obviously with a
yeah,
partner. And you
yeah.
start telling yourself, I hope I was that for that person.
I
'Cause
hope, yeah,
to me,
you hope that for
yeah.
sure, and I think
So
it
to
is
all
hard.
the exes, I hope you are
Yeah, and
BTW.
I really do. Like, I really did. I hope he had taken something from it. And, on one hand, I'm sure there was moments where I was like, man, well, the next girl he gets, like, she's going to get the reward of that. But, like, at the same time, like, I knew that it wasn't, I think I did know that it wasn't going to happen for us anyways. And so we couldn't go back. Like, too much had happened.
Right.
And so I really did know that, like, it wouldn't have changed. It wouldn't change anything. But, like, it was kind of the idea of like, well, if he had changed, like, just, yeah, like, would it be different if we had met now instead,
I love that
or
song because
oh,
it genuinely tells your story, and I'm telling you, you're so relatable because it's
yeah,
true.
you
It
wonder,
could
like,
happen. It can happen. Be
yeah,
positive.
yeah. Well, and it's like, yeah, would we, in an alternate timeline, like, would it be different if we met when we were older at a different time and place, or were we always just still not meant to be? Were
Yeah.
we still not aligned, and not compatible? Really, what
In
was
another life, in a
in
whole.
another, yeah, and so those are just like all the thoughts that I was kind of having, like all these like kind of like what if scenarios, and would we make the same mistakes again? Would he have learned his lessons? And
I
yeah,
love how self-aware you are, by the way. That's a talent. You know
yeah,
what I
thank
mean?
you.
A lot of people, it's good. It's good.
Thank you. Uh, so yeah, I mean, and I think at that time too, like I was obviously still like yeah, just trying to understand it all, even though was the one that like walked away from it, and you're trying to like validate your own decision too. But yeah, so that's where that song kind of was inspired by, and then the music video is kind of very much playing out those scenarios of like, the kind of that, yeah, watching my relationship in kind of this like void and watching it all play out from the beginning to the end, and then kind of having that moment where my younger self is back at the beginning where she has the opportunity to potentially meet this guy again, but kind
In
of gets
another
the
life.
feeling of what it could be, and they don't meet, and so maybe in another life, yes, exactly, there is that alternate scenario at the end, which is kind of cool and something
Speaking
I
of your music video, not to interrupt you, but one thing that I thought was super, super cute that I loved, she had recently posted a video because obviously it just recently released. We're recording in June 2024. It released, and I like that you asked, or your team was asking each person that was involved, like your whole team in the music video, like the actor that you had, and like everybody that was there, what's your favorite part? And I bet you listening, like of filming, like that's what she had set out there, like, and everybody got to give their experience working on your craft, bringing it to life. And then was it like, oh my God, like I'm seen, like they brought my creation to life. I'm so,
oh yeah,
it
it's
was really
crazy.
cute. I liked that for you because
Oh
that's what I searched for. And I was like, that's awesome. And thank you for those that supported her.
yeah,
Very
thank
cute.
you. Yeah, no, it's the coolest thing to be able to like watch something like that come to life, and I've been really lucky to have some pretty cool people for my last
You
few.
love your band.
Yeah, I do, and just it's amazing to see the people that are willing to like take chances on you, with you, and
They see
vice
your
versa.
potential. They
You
definitely see
all, yeah, you all have to touch to trust each other too. Like I had no idea. I didn't even like. I remember I didn't even see any footage when we were shooting, and I'd never worked with Brian before specifically for this project. And then seeing the first cut and being like, oh my gosh, like this is one of the best first cuts I've ever gotten back. Like,
the podcast. I was like, I need
you
to
hope
take.
to God, yeah, you're like, oh my God, I hope this is gonna turn out. Especially like where I'm an indie artist, so it's like we're doing this for an indie budget. We're doing this with very minimal people, but also not trying to let that be the thing that is my downfall, but more so like I'm blessed to have only 3 or 4 people sometimes helping, because we can go a lot faster sometimes. We have a lot of freedom to try things that sometimes we wouldn't be able to do otherwise, with the trying to lug a whole crew around and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Keep it as
Um,
original as possible, as raw as possible on what
yeah,
was working at the time,
sure.
collaborating at the time.
Yeah, and the whole point is too, like, I'm not gonna sit there and like wait until I have like, X amount of dollars to do something. Like you can find people that want to create, but you just have to create something to have them create too, if that makes sense,
No,
like,
literally, like shout out to my producer Christopher, and I guess I can make this announcement now. Christopher and I started this brand literally with that same mindset. Like, okay, you want to be a producer and I want to be on air. Well, we both don't know how, but let's try it. And then we actually creatively separated. And I love you. Good job, Boy Scout. He now is doing this like real life as far as like freelancing and doing his thing, and he's just got the experience and then gave me the inspiration, like you got this even during my darkest times. So to have so many talents collaborate and make your life like, I don't know, like being in literal sense, not being conceited, like the star, like, and you just get to focus on what you need to do and then everybody else is bringing it to life. And
yeah, I know, yeah, and it's the collaboration too. I love being able to like, work alongside somebody else and be like, this is the vision I have. Now, how do you see it? Now, how can we like combine these forces to make it happen and
we're
streamline?
doing it now. We're showcasing each other.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so that was really fun to get to do that. It's something that I'm gonna try to do now, like every time I release something. I wish that I had done it for my past couple of music videos, but
And
whatever.
your music is available like everywhere, right?
Everywhere, yeah, it's everywhere. Yeah, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, iTunes,
And you
Deezer.
were on the radio recently.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
talk
yeah,
about that.
yeah. So I mean, I've been really blessed that Lisa Warden over at Alt 987, and she's the
Shout
whole,
out, Lisa.
yeah, my whole Alt 987 fam. They really are like family and super supportive. and they've given me an opportunity, yeah, as a female and as an independent artist to be on the radio.
How did
And
you get connected with 98.7?
that's a crazy story. That was like a whole manifestation thing too. Like
So that's my same manifestation, literally. That's why I
yeah,
would
no, I literally had like post-it notes all over my bathroom mirror, and one of them said, you know, I have my music or my song on Alt 98.7, and I'd written that and I put it on my mirror, and I had basically, I remember I'd reached out to Danica and just
Danica.
hey, Danica Lopez over at Alt 98.7.
So what did he or she do?
She's a host, like on air, yeah,
Oh,
personality.
personality? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I reached out to her, and she was like, "Well, I really like your song." She's like, "Why don't you reach out to Lisa Warden?" And I was like, "Okay." Like, did it, forgot. It was just like, "Hey, this is my song ready," and this was the song that I'd written, you know, inspired by the producer who basically told me I wasn't ready. And so I sent it to her, and like much to my surprise, like um that kind of manifestation came to life, and she was like, "Hey, like I have this show called She's the Voice. I'd love to air your song."
She
And
believed in you.
yeah, and she believed in me, and so that was the first song that she you know, shared on the show, and then I ended up getting to meet Chris Booker, and like just, you know, the whole
Booker and Stryker,
fam,
I
and
love you guys. They're my
yeah,
favorite.
yeah, Booker's awesome, and they're just such great people. And so, anyways, after that, this is like their third or fourth song of mine that they have supported, and it's just a really cool thing. And I see Lisa, I run into her at like different events randomly all over the place, but now like literally like they are family, and I just, yeah, I'm really grateful.
What a freaking blessing. And like I said, it's kind of scary, like the same life that we live, because that's what I've been running around saying. Like, I want to be on Alt 98.7 only because I am like the biggest fan of The Woody Show and Booker and Stryker. Shout out to you guys. And
Yeah.
like to all of them, actually. And I feel that's my style. That's what I grew up listening to, alternative rock. And then
Same.
now,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So it's just, oh my God, it's such a dream, literally. So the
I mean,
fact that you thought that it happened, you're probably like, what the fuck?
dude, I mean, I literally, I have vivid memories of being in the backseat of my mom's car, like listen, because I grew up here, so like listening to Alt 98.7, and I think at one point it was Star 98.7 with
Yep.
Ryan Seacrest or something, and so like I literally have listened to that station my whole life. It was always like my favorite station.
That's why I literally got this guitar, like, because I had interviewed DJ Regulate, the producer for Booker and Stryker.
Yeah.
I say it on our episode. I'm just like, I'm going to be on this radio station one day. Watch. Don't know how, but I want to. But I just believe in that manifestation. But like I said, I think that's so cool that we have that in common, that we're just like, nope, I'm going to be there. That and K-Rock. So just anything alternative rock, because kind of circling back to the question that I had asked you, like what kind of music was getting you through at the time? That was me, like alternative rock. And I was like, I got to get out there. I got to say what I got to say. I got something to say, you know?
There's like definitely a realness that comes with the alternative format, and I think even cooler part is like I wouldn't classify my music as being alternative. Maybe some songs may be more alt pop, but like my music definitely more pop, indie pop.
But the music industry is becoming more diverse, that I've noticed, like different
Yeah,
genres are playing like Alt 98.7. So we talk about that during that episode. And I'm like, that's so cool, because it's giving more artists a chance to be people's favorites and get new taste out there. I think it's
oh,
yay.
I think that's the coolest part about it, is that, yeah, that it wasn't necessarily your typical song that you would hear on that station, and they gave it a spot and a spotlight, and that's, yeah, I mean, that's how I think it should be. That's how artists used to be introduced, and you don't see, you know, some of those other like pop
The call-in requests, like, I want to play Chloe, like, you know, get
yeah,
your name out there more.
yeah,
That's
and
why I
it's
hate
like you don't.
radio.
Yeah, you don't get to see that often enough. I mean, and there's not enough indie stations even out there,
I
which
don't
is.
even know of any. What are some?
So I know that in LA there's the We Found New Music station. I think it's oh, what's their actual thing? I think it's like SoCal something. Anyways, I'll find it. But they have one. We Found New Music with Grant Owens. He has his own radio show where they promote independent artists, and they've promoted me, which is cool. That's the one that I know of most. I know that sometimes what is it? KCRW will still play independent artists. Yeah, obviously all 97 She's the Voice. In Nashville, there's a station there, but they don't even have like a Spotify playlist. I used to discover people like all the time from that
Yeah.
station. And so it sucks. I'm always like, man, I want to listen in, but oh well. But yeah, it's so unfortunate that there's not more of those opportunities.
But right now, have you, well, obviously at this time, have you only been like on Alt 98.7 or
No, yeah, there's been others too, absolutely, and some of my like earliest, I guess, like, cool things have happened in my career happened because I'd started getting like online radio station ads, and then eventually some like other stations would add my music, and then Radio Disney. I was like one of the first independent. I think I actually was the first independent artist that they played.
Again, look at you, little Miss Hannah Montana.
Yeah, so that was cool. That was when I was in college.
That's awesome.
That was amazing. They put my music video on Disney Channel. Yeah, them, Nick Music as well. But yeah, no, Chicago, Chicago's New Music Club. They played some of my stuff on one of their bigger pop stations that they have there. I've had a couple number ones on a station that is, oh my God, I think it's in Minnesota. Don't quote me on that. I feel like I should know that right now. But
Look, you're literally singing to the world. Look at you,
yeah,
girl.
you know. So
That's
it's cool.
that's awesome because look at where it's taking you. And like you just mentioned that you have a podcast. What are you doing with that? Like what is
Yeah, yeah. No, so I have a podcast called Unwritten. I co-host it with a friend of mine named Shauna Petruno, and she's a model, and she's also like a beauty expert basically.
Yeah.
But we hit it off because I was on her podcast, and she's very much into spirituality as well and wellness. And she'd already had her own, and I'd been wanting to do one for a while, but didn't really know exactly where to start. And I was like, we were already having great conversations. And I was like, would you ever want to start a podcast? And I loved the idea of like being both on different coasts and both being Canadian, and both being someone in the industry, but having different perspectives on things. And so anyways, it kind of started with that. And she had said yes. And then I loved the idea of calling it Unwritten, and then basically making the whole concept of it like, like basically who's to say that your neighbor doesn't have a good piece of advice. And so we pick a topic, and then we have like 3 different chapters to the series. And the first topic, or the first chapter, she and I talk about it. The second one, we pick a guest, and then the third one is self-nominated. So it could be anybody, and really like giving them a platform to share their story, whatever their advice.
Very unfiltered.
Very unfiltered. Oh, absolutely. I mean, we do not edit our podcast at all, like 0 editing. It's very much like a phone call that you'd have.
Hey.
And yeah, and I wanted it to be like that because I didn't want it to be stressful, and I wanted it to be fun, and I wanted to feel free and comfortable.
You know how we kept talking about like the what the fuck moments, like how is this happening? Again, I know I've said it like 1,000 times, but we are literally living the same freaking life. As you're talking, I'm like, me too. It's crazy.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. But yeah, and it's just a perfect example too. It's like, it's something that I wanted to do, and I could have waited for the right perfect things to align and getting all the equipment and blah blah blah. But like, I just wanted to do it, and I was grateful to have somebody else who kind of had some knowledge there too, and was on board with like definitely like helping with that. But yeah, we kicked it off, and again, like I don't care if it's 5 people listening or if it's 5,000 people listening. Right now, it's just a little side thing for me that I do because it's fun, and I like having these conversations, and we'll see. I mean, I like using my creativity in as many different places as possible because it just makes me like better.
100%. I say this quote all the time. I said it on my actual season finale. I said, no matter what, I was speaking to Christopher. I said, the act of creating this podcast, it means more to me than the outcome, because for people that are taking the time to tune in to listen to what I have to say, like that was already the goal. So whether it's one person or it's just the goal of me speaking outside to myself and having that be part of my time capsule, that's enough.
Yeah.
fucking crazy. So you have your podcast going on, you have new music going on, and you just overall still like are very involved. Like, and it's cool because you're giving back so much. And I hope you have time for like family and friends and stuff with your busy life. I say it all the time. I'm way too busy for my own life, and it sucks.
Yeah, I try to keep it as balanced as possible, but it's hard. It's not a normal, it really is not a normal life. You've got to make it as normal as possible. And I've definitely had to learn to like, I don't know, yeah, figure out where my boundaries are and what my needs are. But it's hard, you know? Yeah, it's not, being an independent artist is not easy, and it is a full-time job. There are no off hours. So yeah.
Just you don't have time because for me, I will keep myself up because I'm like thinking of what's next and what to do next because I'm excited for one and I know that it's possible to make it happen. But then I'm like, but dude, it takes me the effort to make it happen. But when it happens, you're just like, yeah, I made it happen. So it's cool. It's super cool. But like overall, like kind of talking about time, like I say it to all of my guests that for you even taking the time to just speak to me, like just having a normal conversation, it's definitely a luxury. So the fact that you're contributing to talking to me and then being a part of my craft, it's like you're doing so good with a lot of things. And this is definitely a demonstration that you're just trying to shed light, you know, we'll share light.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad that like we even got to connect and that I could finally be on your show, and that you've been so supportive of my music and you've come out to my shows, and like that's what it's all about, is like supporting each other, especially as females, but just as people and creatives. And yeah, we gotta help each other because it's too hard out here,
It
man.
is. I was like, I need more people on my team, and it feels good to just always be like hyping people up. Unless I said everybody that talks to me, they're my bestie now. So being a part of this is
I
it's
love
awesome. And I try to match other people's energy because I want to. I want them to feel seen. And you deserve to have your name out there, especially because you're actually trying to make it a profession. And it's a lot of work, like to just get your name out there. So it's super duper awesome. And I love that you are doing that. But how do we keep up with you? Like, if we want to know where you're at, where you're playing, what's the best way to follow you and what's coming up?
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I am on every social media. So, uh, yeah, Instagram again is just at Chloe Caroline, TikTok at I'm Chloe Caroline, Twitter at I'm Chloe Caroline, Facebook, Chloe Caroline Music. Yeah, I have a website, chloecaroline.com. My number's in all of my Instagram bios and stuff.
We can text
And
you or call
you
you?
can text me, yeah. And
And
it's
like in your
actually
real life phone, or do you have like something dedicated?
so it's a separate number, but it goes to my actual same phone. So yeah, it's really cool, and it actually is me. So I've really created a lot of like one-on-one.
And that team that you have going on Instagram where all your new updates where you're
Oh
playing.
yeah,
How do
exactly.
you get subscribed to that? I think your team just added me and I was like, heck yeah. That's
Oh
how I knew
cool.
about your show. And I was like, oh my God, I can go to that.
Oh my God, I'm glad it's working.
Oh, it is. It
But
is.
yeah, so yeah, the Chloe Caroline crew on Instagram. Yeah, please join that, and if you want to subscribe, that's cool too. But yeah, there's a lot of places. I try to respond to everybody. A DM especially. So if you're listening and you tell me that you listen to this, I will respond to you.
Yeah, oh, definitely. That's awesome. But
And
what's coming up next? Like any shows? Are you gonna
yeah,
be showcased on anything
so
else?
I just played the Troubadour, so that was like my big show. But I've got
That's there in Los Angeles, right? Or West Hollywood area?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And then I'm playing a festival this weekend. It's actually something called the Water Lantern Festival, but it's here
What's
in
that?
LA. It's in like, oh my gosh, I can't even think of what it's called. Whittier Nature or something.
What's it called?
The festival is called the Water Lantern Festival, but it's very like a hippy dippy festival. But they asked me to play a long time ago, so I was like, all right. So I'm playing that this weekend, Friday and Saturday. And then I have a couple shows coming up in Napa. I'm really excited about. Um, and I've never played in Napa, so that'll be really fun. I've never really played in Northern California.
Yeah.
So I've got those coming up in July, and I've got the last single with the EP coming out as well in July. Yeah, that's some things. I've got some remixes on the way, some co-releases after this EP is out. And yeah, just trying to create as much as possible.
No,
New
that's awesome. And it's working. It's working because look at all these opportunities that are just waiting for you to show up, and they're waiting for you literally because it's not going to go forward unless you're there. So, and what a blessing. And like I said, be proud of yourself because it's working. Like look at me
yeah,
reaching out like just as a total stranger because we
yeah,
connected, and
yeah.
I don't know, it's working, girl, and that's why
Thank
you're
you.
getting
No,
all the things
that
that
is
you.
that is beautiful. That is like the proof that like you constantly need to remind yourself of when
Yeah.
you're
Well, affirmations, like you said, I wanted, like I said, I am so grateful for the time that you don't have and you are contributing to my stories now,
like,
my come up story, my just adventure of what I wanted, what we wanted, and what I share. Is there any shout outs that you want to give before we close out that have influenced your life? And I want you to tell my listeners some affirmations that you share with yourself and what you want to share with them.
yeah,
Please.
yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, yeah, obviously, shout out to my family and my friends and you specifically, obviously. My really supportive, amazing, creative boyfriend as well. He's awesome. All my producer friends, writer friends, the people that helped me make when we were older. Yeah, I'm just my band again. Just yeah, anybody who believes in me, and creates with me, like hell yeah.
Besties. You're
Yeah,
besties. You're part of
and
your tribe.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, as far as affirmations, I think I've said a couple of them, but my favorite one is I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I mean, that one, like every time I need to like recenter. It's also a full moon, I think tonight and tomorrow night. So use these. um, but yeah, so I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. Just kind of takes you to being in the present moment, reminding you to reground and focus and not feel so anxious about the future. Um, and with that, yeah, like God, the universe is perfect timing. That one I say all the time. Let's see, I am energetically and physically aligned with my highest self. That's another one I use all the
That's
time.
super.
Uh, yeah, what is meant for me will not pass me by, and it's already mine. I'm already successful. And then I love to say, like I am love, and because that helps me too, like genuinely.
You are, girl.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah, I am love, and it's basically flowing through me and around me. Like, yeah, I have so many girl. I could like literally just like keep
Well,
listening.
tune into her podcast because I'm sure you share them all the time or shows. Like I said, she literally started a show and there's a video on her podcast, like literally showing how she begins her show. So it's awesome.
Yeah,
This reminds me of the movie Click with Adam Sandler. Have you seen it?
I have seen it.
Isn't that so real life? Because look at how he like realized going back in time like 1,000 times, it changed the outcome no matter what. Still same people, fortunately, but just live where you're at. It's like that for a reason. And you have the opportunity to, if you're unhappy with it, change it, or just don't dwell on the past and don't try to change it. You're here at this moment for a reason.
Yep, yep.
And you don't have to know why. Just
Yeah,
live, you know?
yeah, yeah. You don't have to know why exactly. Like, and sometimes trying to figure out why is what is actually blocking you.
A waste of time.
Yeah, yeah,
Just be
exactly.
proud of yourself that you're breathing, that you're alive, because no matter what, if we, at least for people like me, there are people out there that are willing to listen. There are people out there that are trying to create music like you to let them know, like, it is so possible to keep going. Like, I am you, you are me. I'm not above you. You're not
Oh
beneath me.
no,
You're
yeah,
here. We're
and
we do this together.
yeah, I mean, yeah, and there's people that reach out all the time that are like, I'm a singer, I'm a songwriter, like, or I want to be. I want to be a singer songwriter and I love to sing and blah blah blah. Like, I don't know where to begin. And like it's always like for me, I'm like, dude, you're already doing it. Like it's that simple. Like you are a singer. You want to be a singer. No, like you are a singer. Sing, right? You know what I mean? Like that is where you start instead of like, I don't know where to begin. Like, I get it. It's like overwhelming. I mean, I think for me, again, the best piece of advice there is like record yourself because having something tangible is a great way to start with
You're a
that.
time capsule looking back at your progress.
Yeah, and to share with people and to learn your own voice. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, like it's not, oh, I want to be a painter. Like paint, you are a painter. For me, like acting was like rather new and still is rather new, but like I've had a role before and kind of realizing like I'm not trying to be like I am an actor. Like if I, you know what I mean? I am an actress, you know, even though like that
your name out there, that you're already there. You've mastered that. This is who you
yeah,
are.
yeah. And it's like and I'm already doing it. It doesn't mean that like you know, yes, is singing something that I know I am like very, very good at and I've spent hours and it's just so much time. Yes. That but at the same time, like I am also this and I'm also that. Like there are these other things and I it's not I'm gonna wait till I get on this many TV shows to be considering myself an actress, you know, or this many callbacks or whatever it is, you know. And so like you have to just remind yourself of that stuff constantly because it's easy to just like psych yourself out and be like, oh, I'm not ready for it yet. When you're the one blocking yourself from being ready for it.
Literally. No, literally. And like you said, if it reaches one person, a million person, or just yourself, you are being you and you are where you're at for a reason. And things happen when they do. And what you're literally doing, go ahead and count one person that's listening. So that's not zero. Hopefully
Yeah.
that's enough. That's me. And I'm obviously other people that are inspired and come. But I am very inspired by you, not only as my friend, but as a creator, as an artist, because you are definitely influencing me. And I'm sure other people can relate that you're not letting your dream just be a dream. You're like, you give off that energy that dreams is what gets you there, but you will not settle for it to just be a dream.
Oh no. It's happening. It's happening. It's happening right now. And same with you, you know.
No, it's definitely happening. But like I said, I am grateful, and the fact that you took the time, it's awesome. Hopefully this does something for our career for both of us because our voices do deserve to be heard. Everybody's voices deserve to be heard. And we as creators and just making our craft come to life, we hope that we're spreading the positive movement that we're genuinely hoping for. And I know everybody's human. Sometimes we make mistakes, sometimes we say things that are so out of pocket, like me, but you have to master how to say sorry and mean it, not just say it, and mean it, and be a positive influence, because that's what's going to gain you your support. That's what's going to gain you your listeners. That's what's going to gain people to trust your advice if they come to you. Be that example, because the more relatable that you come, because in all honesty, we're literally at least one thing in common. No matter what we have, we're breathing, we're here, and we're all trying to do something, even if it's just trying to wake up. So
Yeah.
thank you for being on that movement, and we're going to just keep going, and we should. There's every reason to, and hopefully, like I said, this episode in itself showcases how amazing you are, and I'm very proud of you for embracing that, because you totally should. And yeah, like I said, let's just keep giving what we're already doing.
Yes, amazing. Well, I love you. Thank you for having me.
For those of you guys that are interested in following the podcast, the Instagram handle is at organize_clutter_podcast. I wish, and I was in the process of being on all handles, but in all honesty, I feel like Instagram is just the only one I can handle right now. So that is on Instagram. And then we are on all streaming platforms, thankfully, for our season 2. But again, is there any Instagram handles that you want to throw out there just to, like I said, updates? We covered them. Anybody in anything
I
like that?
mean, yeah, no, I think, yeah, mine is just at Chloé Caroline. And then my podcast one is at unwritten.podcast.
Yeah, that's so freaking cute.
Podcast. Yeah.
We'll tag all this funsies. So forever, whoever's interested and enjoys the stuff that we cover, even if you don't, there's still more, because it's always gonna be different. And yeah, thank you guys for listening. We love you guys, and yeah.
Wanna put me in a box. You ain't gonna talk to me like that. You better stop.